Attitude shapes perspective. The way you look at life will always decide how you move through it. Two people can face the same problem, yet walk away with two entirely different stories. One will see nothing but pain, while the other will see potential. One will feel defeated, while the other will feel determined. It is not the problem that made the difference. It is the attitude they carried into it. Your perspective is the lens through which you see the world, and your attitude is what polishes or clouds that lens. If your attitude is clear, optimistic, and open, you see opportunity. If it's negative, cynical, and closed, you see limitation. Think about it. The same storm that breaks one tree strengthens another. The same fire that destroys straw purifies gold. Life is neutral in this sense. It simply presents experiences. It's your attitude that gives meaning to those experiences. A disciplined, grateful attitude looks at a challenge and says, "This is my classroom." A complaining attitude looks at the same challenge and says, "This is my curse." The difference is perspective, and perspective is always shaped by attitude. One of the great truths I learned early in life is that circumstances rarely improve without internal improvement first. Many people wait for life to change before they decide to change their outlook. They say, "I'll be positive when things get better." But the reality is, things get better when you choose to be positive. If you wait for conditions to determine your attitude, you'll always be on the ground. But if you choose the right attitude, no matter the conditions, you'll rise higher than others who had more advantages than you. That's why two employees in the same company can be treated the same way, yet one grows into leadership while the other fades into resentment. It's not the company, not the manager, not the economy. It's attitude. Attitude is a decision you make daily. It is not automatic, it is intentional. Just like you choose the clothes you wear, you also choose the attitude you put on. And just as the right outfit can give you confidence, the right attitude can give you courage. A person who deliberately puts on gratitude, hope, and resilience sees a world full of possibilities. A person who puts on negativity, fear, and doubt sees only closed doors. Nothing is different outside of them, but everything is different inside of them. Think of how perspective influences even the smallest details. If someone criticizes you, one attitude says, "They're attacking me." Another says, "They're giving me feedback." One attitude closes down learning, the other opens up growth. If a project fails, one attitude says, "This proves I'm not good enough." Another says, "This proves I'm closer to finding what works." One perspective leads to quitting, the other leads to persistence, and it all comes back to the attitude you allow to shape your perspective. Let me put it this way: the world doesn't respond to what happens to you, it responds to how you interpret what happens to you. The marketplace doesn't reward bitterness, excuses, or self-pity. It rewards solutions, energy, and perseverance. Life doesn't hand altitude to the complainer. It hands altitude to the one who refuses to be defeated in spirit. And that refusal begins with the daily choice of attitude. I often tell people, don't let your attitude be controlled by circumstances. Let it be controlled by vision. Circumstances are temporary, vision is lasting. If you only look at what is, you'll always feel limited. But if you look at what could be, you'll start rising higher. Attitude makes that difference. The person who believes tomorrow can be better will put in the effort today. The one who believes nothing will change won't even try. It's not talent that separates them. It's not background. It's the perspective born of attitude. So ask yourself every day, what lens am I using? When the alarm clock rings, do I see another miserable day, or do I see another chance to make progress? When I face difficulty, do I see it as punishment, or do I see it as preparation? When someone criticizes me, do I see rejection, or do I see redirection? Your answers to these questions are shaping your altitude long before the results show up. Life will never be perfect. Circumstances will never line up neatly. But the person with the right attitude doesn't need perfect conditions. They create progress with whatever conditions they're given. That is the ultimate freedom of attitude. It liberates you from waiting on the world to change. It hands you the power to shape your own perspective, and by doing so, to shape your destiny. And here's the promise: you cannot keep the right attitude and stay small. A good attitude eventually finds opportunities. It attracts good people. It sharpens your character, and it multiplies your results. It might not happen overnight, but it will happen. Because attitude is the seed, perspective is the soil, and altitude is the harvest. If you get the first two right, the third will take care of itself. So guard your attitude like treasure. Feed it with gratitude, strengthen it with discipline, and protect it from negativity. Because in the end, your future will not be determined by luck or by chance or even by talent alone. Your future will be determined by the attitude that shapes your perspective. And your perspective will always decide how high you fly. Attitude creates resilience, and resilience is what separates those who merely survive from those who truly thrive. Life has a way of testing every one of us. It doesn't matter how careful we are, how prepared we think we might be, storms will come. Some storms are small inconveniences. Others are hurricanes that shake the very core of our being. But the outcome of those storms isn't determined by their size. It's determined by our attitude toward them. I've seen people who were handed the toughest circumstances, yet they found a way to stand tall, learn, and move forward. At the same time, I've seen others who collapsed under far smaller pressures, not because life was any harder for them, but because their mindset made them fragile. What made the difference? Attitude. Resilience is not a gift from life. It's a choice we develop, and that choice begins with how we think. When you believe every problem is the end, you'll stop trying. But when you choose to see challenges as part of the process, as opportunities for growth, you'll keep pressing forward. A resilient person doesn't say, "Why me?" They say, "What can I learn? How can I grow? What will this make of me?" That shift in thinking changes everything. It doesn't make life easier, but it makes you stronger. Consider this: an oak tree and a reed both face the same wind. The oak is tall and proud, but when the storm is strong enough, it snaps. The reed, however, bends with the wind, sways, adapts, and then rises again once the storm has passed. Which one has the greater chance of survival? It's not always the one with the strongest bark. It's the one with the right attitude toward the storm. Resilience is not about never falling. It's about rising again every time you do. And rising again requires faith in yourself, in your future, and in the belief that setbacks are not permanent. When you carry the right attitude, your failures become lessons instead of losses. They sharpen your wisdom rather than break your will. The wrong attitude magnifies every obstacle and makes it heavier than it really is. The right attitude shrinks the problem and magnifies your capacity to deal with it. You see, most people don't fail because the problem was too great. They fail because their spirit gave up too soon. Attitude is the fuel that keeps you going when logic says to stop. It whispers, just one more step, just one more try, just one more day, and often that one more is all it takes to cross the threshold from defeat to victory. Think of history's great achievers, inventors, and leaders. They didn't avoid hardship. They walked straight into it. What kept them alive and striving was not luck, not wealth, not perfect circumstances, but an unbreakable mindset. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Imagine if his attitude had been, "I failed, so I'm done." Instead, he said, "I found thousands of ways it doesn't work." That's resilience born from attitude. Now, resilience doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is fine. It's not blind optimism. Resilience is realistic optimism. It's saying, yes, this is hard. Yes, I've been knocked down. But no, I'm not staying down. It's choosing to take responsibility for your responses instead of blaming the circumstances. That responsibility gives you power, and power builds resilience. Each time life pushes you, you have two choices: break or bounce. Breaking is easy. It doesn't require effort. Bouncing requires strength, courage, and determination. But with the right attitude, you discover that strength within you. Your resilience is like a muscle. The more you face difficulty with the right mindset, the stronger it becomes. So let your attitude become the shield that protects your spirit. Let it remind you that pain is temporary, but growth is lasting. Let it give you the patience to endure and the vision to see beyond today's troubles. Because here's the truth: your destiny is not shaped by the punches you take, but by how many times you rise after being hit. When you understand that attitude creates resilience, you stop fearing the storm. Instead, you learn to ride it. You stop resenting the challenge and start respecting it because you know it is sculpting you into someone capable of higher things. You stop asking life for fewer problems and start asking yourself for greater strength. And with every setback, you come back stronger, wiser, and more determined. So, the next time life knocks on your door with difficulty, greet it with the right attitude. Don't shrink back, don't complain, don't surrender. Stand firm, bend if you must, but never break. Because when your attitude is unshakable, your resilience is unstoppable. And when resilience becomes your companion, no mountain is too high, no valley too deep, no storm too fierce. You will rise and you will keep rising. Because attitude creates resilience, and resilience will carry you to the altitude you were destined for. Attitude is not just a silent passenger in your life, it is the pilot. It sets the course, it drives your energy, and it influences how the world responds to you. People often think success is determined solely by education, by resources, or by background. But time and again, we see individuals with little formal training, limited connections, and almost no advantages rise to incredible levels of success. And on the other side, we see people with every advantage, wealth, status, and even talent fall short of their potential. The difference is almost always attitude. The world responds to you in the way you present yourself to it. If you bring an attitude of confidence, positivity, and openness, you naturally attract people and opportunities. Think about it, no one wants to work with someone who is constantly negative, always complaining, or quick to see the worst in everything. That kind of energy repels. But someone with a hopeful spirit, someone who approaches challenges with determination, someone who carries gratitude instead of resentment, that person becomes magnetic. It's not luck, it's not accident, it's the natural law that like attracts like. Your attitude is your invisible business card. Before you even shake hands, people can sense your spirit. They can see whether you're hopeful or defeated, enthusiastic or bitter, focused or careless. Opportunities rarely announce themselves in neat packages. They often come disguised as challenges, introductions, or even small tasks. And the truth is, opportunities don't just go to the most talented. They go to the ones who carry themselves with the attitude that says, I can be trusted. I can handle this. I will bring value. Attitude is contagious. If you enter a room with negativity, you pull the atmosphere down. If you enter with optimism, you lift it up. This is why leaders with the right attitude are followed and trusted, while those with toxic mindsets are avoided. People don't just follow intelligence, they follow spirit. They want to be around someone who inspires, someone who believes, someone who radiates possibility. And when you become that person, you won't have to chase opportunity, it will chase you. Now, let's be clear. A positive attitude does not mean ignoring reality. It doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. That's not optimism, that's denial. The right attitude means acknowledging reality, but choosing to respond with faith, creativity, and determination. Life is going to test you. Business is going to challenge you. Relationships will stretch you. But when you maintain the attitude that problems are stepping stones, not roadblocks, you become the kind of person opportunity trusts. Because opportunity doesn't look for complainers, it looks for problem solvers. Think of it this way: attitude is like the soil, and opportunities are like seeds. In poor soil, even the best seed will struggle to grow. But in fertile soil, even the smallest seed can become a tree. If your attitude is bitter, resentful, or fearful, the seeds of opportunity die quickly. But if your attitude is hopeful, disciplined, and grateful, opportunities take root and multiply. History is full of people who prove this law. The inventors, entrepreneurs, and leaders who changed the world weren't always the smartest in the room. Many of them failed repeatedly. Many of them were doubted. But what separated them was attitude. They refused to let setbacks define them. They treated each failure as a lesson. And they kept the door open for opportunity to find them again. That is why they rose. So if you want to attract opportunities, you must first attract them within yourself. Carry yourself with gratitude for what you already have, enthusiasm for what's possible, and determination for what you must build. Speak with belief, act with integrity, and respond with resilience. Opportunities are drawn to those who are prepared in spirit, and preparation begins with attitude. Every day you wake up, you're broadcasting your spirit. Ask yourself, what is my attitude saying to the world today? Am I telling opportunity I'm ready, or am I pushing it away? Remember this simple truth: your life will rarely rise above your attitude. If you want greater altitude, you must first fix your attitude, because at the end of the day, doors don't open for people who wait for luck. Doors open for people whose attitude makes them irresistible to opportunity. Attitude attracts opportunities. And when you master that, you won't have to chase success. Success will come and sit at your table because it always recognizes the spirit of a winner. Attitude drives performance because it is the engine behind every action you take. You can have the skills, the knowledge, and even the opportunity, but if your attitude is wrong, none of it matters. Think about it. Two people can walk into the same room with the same ability. One has an attitude of doubt, hesitation, and fear, and the other carries confidence, enthusiasm, and determination. Who do you think will perform better? The answer is always the one with the right attitude, because performance is not just about what you can do, it's about what you're willing to do, what you believe you can do, and the energy you bring when you do it. So much of success is not about the task itself, but about the spirit in which you approach it. A person with a poor attitude will see work as a burden, and every challenge will feel like a mountain too high to climb. But someone with a positive, disciplined attitude sees the same mountain as an opportunity to prove what they're made of. Same mountain, different attitude, completely different performance. It's not the mountain that matters. It's the mindset of the climber. Your performance in life is the direct reflection of how you feel about what you do. If you feel beaten down, frustrated, or ungrateful, your effort will be half-hearted and results will match. But when you feel grateful, determined, and enthusiastic, you pour your heart into the work, and that effort multiplies results. That is why attitude is everything. It magnifies or diminishes whatever you're capable of. Think about the workplace. Employers don't just hire for skills, they hire for attitude. Skills can be trained, but attitude is self-chosen. The employee who shows up on time, eager to learn, willing to adapt, and ready to contribute will outperform someone with greater technical knowledge but a poor attitude. Why? Because performance isn't just about ability, it's about energy. And energy is created by attitude. This principle doesn't stop in the workplace. It's true in every area of life. A student with the right attitude studies with focus and curiosity, while another with the same intelligence but a careless attitude will barely get by. An athlete with the right attitude pushes through pain, fatigue, and setbacks, while another with equal talent but a negative outlook quits when things get hard. Life rewards the one whose attitude fuels persistence, not the one who simply has talent on paper. I often say success is not something you pursue, it's something you attract by the person you become. And the person you become is heavily shaped by your attitude. Your attitude is like a thermostat for your potential. If you set it low with negativity, fear, or laziness, your performance will stay cold and stagnant. But if you set it high with belief, determination, and optimism, your performance will rise to match. The beautiful thing is, you control that dial every single day. Some people wait for circumstances to improve before they fix their attitude. They say, I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll work harder when I get a better job. I'll give more effort when I feel motivated. But it doesn't work like that. Performance doesn't follow circumstance, it follows attitude. If you wait for life to change before you change your outlook, you'll be waiting forever. The secret is to bring the right attitude to whatever situation you're in, and your performance will create the very opportunities you're waiting for. A winning attitude doesn't mean ignoring difficulties or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to see difficulties as training grounds, choosing to find the lesson in failure, and choosing to believe that your best effort will eventually bring a better outcome. That choice produces better performance than bitterness or self-pity ever will. So let me challenge you, check your attitude daily. Ask yourself, am I giving my best? Am I approaching this task with the spirit of excellence, or am I just trying to get by? Am I looking for solutions, or am I looking for excuses? The answers will tell you why your performance is where it is. Your results are not controlled by the economy, your boss, your competitors, or your past. They are controlled by you specifically, by your attitude. That's the foundation. If you want to elevate your life, elevate your attitude. When your attitude rises, your performance follows, and when your performance rises, your opportunities expand. The formula is simple but powerful. The right attitude will always drive the right performance, and the right performance will always take you to higher ground. Attitude controls energy, and energy controls the quality of your life. If your attitude is strong, hopeful, and optimistic, you walk into a room with power, with presence, with a spirit that uplifts not only yourself, but everyone around you. But if your attitude is bitter, resentful, or negative, then your energy is drained before you even begin. Life responds to the kind of energy you bring to it, and that energy is the direct result of your attitude. I've seen people with little talent and few resources succeed, while others with all the advantages of education, money, and connections fall short. The difference wasn't luck. It was the invisible fuel called energy, and behind that fuel was attitude. A great attitude turns ordinary effort into extraordinary achievement. It gives you stamina when the road gets long and the burden gets heavy. It keeps you going when others quit. Think about the times you felt motivated and alive. It wasn't just because the circumstances were perfect. It was because you decided to interpret them in a way that produced energy. Two people can face the same problem. One says, "Why me?" and drains every ounce of strength they have, while the other says, "What can I learn from this?" and instantly gains fuel to move forward. Same problem, different attitude, radically different energy. Your energy is not created in the gym or in the office. It's created in the mind first. The way you think about your work, your family, your future, that determines how much strength and drive you bring to each day. If you approach a task with dread, your body will feel heavy. Your energy will drop and the work will feel twice as hard. But if you approach that same task with excitement, believing that it brings you closer to your goals, suddenly you have the energy to carry it out with enthusiasm. It's no secret that enthusiasm attracts opportunities. People want to be around those who radiate energy. They trust them, they respect them, and they want to follow them. But enthusiasm is not an accident. It's the byproduct of attitude. You can't wait for life to excite you. You must choose to be excited about life, and when you do, your energy multiplies. The truth is, everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, but not everyone has the same energy. The difference lies in how they manage their inner world. A poor attitude drains your emotional battery before you even begin the day. A great attitude recharges you even in the middle of challenges. That's why two people can work the same job, put in the same hours, yet one leaves exhausted and bitter while the other leaves inspired and fulfilled. The secret is not in the work. It's in the attitude they bring to the work. Attitude also controls how you use your physical energy. If you believe exercise is a burden, your body will resist it. But if you see it as a gift, a chance to build strength and vitality, you'll look forward to it. The same is true with relationships. If you approach them with suspicion or resentment, you'll always feel drained. But if you approach them with love, gratitude, and curiosity, you'll feel energized and uplifted. Your relationships don't steal your energy. Your attitude does. One of the greatest shifts you can make in life is to treat attitude like the thermostat of your energy. When things get cold and discouraging, you can choose to turn up the heat by changing your outlook. When things feel overwhelming, you can lower the pressure by adjusting your perspective. You have that control. You can't always change circumstances, but you can always change your attitude, and when you do, you change the level of energy you bring into every moment. Imagine your life if you chose to guard your attitude every single day. Imagine waking up with gratitude instead of complaints, with anticipation instead of dread, with faith instead of fear. Your energy would rise, your influence would rise, and yes, your altitude would rise. The world doesn't just reward intelligence or talent, it rewards energy, passion, and persistence. And those are all born from the seed of attitude. So today, make the decision to take full responsibility for your attitude. Feed it with positive thoughts, protect it from negativity, and align it with your vision for the future. Because when your attitude is right, your energy is unstoppable. And when your energy is unstoppable, there is no limit to how high you can climb. Attitude predicts altitude. That simple phrase can change the way you live your life. Your skills, your resources, and your circumstances matter, but what ultimately decides how far you rise is the way you choose to think and respond each day. I've seen people with average talent accomplish extraordinary things because their attitude carried them higher than their abilities alone ever could. And I've also seen highly skilled people go nowhere because their attitude weighed them down like an anchor. The truth is, your attitude either builds your wings or chains your feet. The way you look at life shapes your entire perspective. Two people can face the same problem, yet one sees nothing but barriers while the other sees opportunities hidden inside the challenge. The problem isn't the problem. The problem is how you see it. When your attitude is focused on solutions, you find a way. When it's focused on complaints, you stay stuck. Remember this, life responds to your outlook. If you believe there's a way forward, your mind begins to search for it. But if you convince yourself there's no hope, even the best opportunity can pass right in front of you, and you'll miss it. A strong attitude also builds resilience. No one escapes storms. Life will test you with disappointments, delays, and even losses. But here's the difference. The person with the right attitude doesn't let those storms break them. They bend, they adjust, they endure, and they rise again. Attitude doesn't remove the difficulty, but it equips you to overcome it. Every setback can be turned into a setup for a comeback if your mindset is right. Think of it this way: when an airplane faces headwinds, the pilot doesn't stop flying. He uses the resistance to lift the plane higher. The same is true in life. Resistance can crush you, or it can carry you, depending on your attitude. Your attitude also determines what you attract. People are drawn to energy, optimism, and confidence. No one wants to follow someone who is always negative, bitter, or hopeless. But when you walk into a room with a spirit of possibility, you light up the space. Opportunities naturally flow toward people who radiate belief and enthusiasm. The world has enough critics and complainers. What it needs are people whose attitudes inspire trust, courage, and action. If you want better opportunities, start by becoming the kind of person whose attitude is worth following. And make no mistake, attitude drives performance. Skills are important, knowledge is important, but without the right spirit, they don't reach their full potential. A bad attitude will sabotage the sharpest talent. On the other hand, someone with moderate skill but a winning attitude often outperforms the expert who thinks negatively. Why? Because attitude controls how you use what you know. When you're fueled by belief, discipline, and persistence, you do things others won't. You push further, you last longer, and you keep going when most people quit. Your energy, too, is deeply influenced by attitude. Think about it. When your attitude is poor, even small tasks feel heavy. You drag yourself through the day, and every effort feels like a burden. But with a good attitude, even big challenges become energizing. You face them with anticipation rather than dread. Enthusiasm, discipline, and momentum all begin in the mind. Attitude can either drain you or fuel you. It decides whether you move sluggishly on the ground or soar with momentum in the sky. In the end, it's clear attitude predicts altitude. Where you end up in life is not simply the result of your education, your environment, or your family background. Those things matter, yes, but they are not the ceiling or the floor of your destiny. It is your mindset, your daily choices, your inner posture that determine how high you go. Two people may start in the same place, but one will rise and the other will sink. And the difference will come down to attitude. So, what about you? What kind of altitude are you aiming for? Don't wait for circumstances to improve before you adjust your outlook. Start now. Choose gratitude over complaining. Choose faith over fear. Choose solutions over excuses. Because the truth is simple: your skills may set the stage, your habits may keep you steady, but it is your attitude that lifts you to greater heights every day. You're either setting your sail toward new horizons or lowering it to drift aimlessly. Make the choice today to fly higher. Because attitude, more than anything else, predicts your altitude.